Trap music, a subgenre of hip-hop, has been around for well over 20 years, and in recent years there's been a shift to scam rap. It's a new subgenre where artists may speak on credit card scamming and all kinds of street scamming activity, talking about how they get bras in Atlanta, credit cards, and the scammers, or even City Girl JT herself, serving 2 years in federal prison over fraudulent credit card charges. When the female rap group City Girls of Miami, Florida started blowing up, you had one of the members, JT, turning herself into the feds. Her bandmate Young Miami continued to promote the group with the help of Quality Control, the label they signed under. Luckily for JT and Young Miami, their fans stayed around, and when JT got out of prison, she didn't miss a beat. But there is a less successful female rap group out of Detroit that wasn't so lucky. I'm talking about the two female rappers who performed together as Deuces Wild. They got busted by the IRS for their involvement in a $5.5 million fraud scheme. Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Click the notification bell for all updates. If you're watching from Detroit, drop Detroit below in the comments. So, who is Deuces Wild? Deuces Wild was a local female rap duo in Detroit around the 2010 era. The group formed by Samira Morrell, she went by Cream, and Noelle Brown, who was known as Nikki Brown. But in 2022, these female fans may not rock with a group like this because they actually wore clothes in their videos. You know, it's amazing how far you have to go back to find female artists who own shirts and pants. But Deuces Wild from the Midwest, they had a similar sound as if they came from Old Nat Gobby Road or Kirkwood in Atlanta. They moved like a normal rap group, filmed blogs, behind the scenes, rehearsals, video shoots, makeup. Their style like your Detroit fly girl. You know, furs in the McDonald's parking lot is normal behavior for people in the D. So I guess it didn't raise eyebrows when you had these women right here buying Louis, red bottoms all at the mall, balling out of control like they're Big Meech or somebody. And I have to tell you now that there's no way that money came from social media or hip-hop shows because they weren't even popular enough back then to demand 5-figure shows. And back around that time, they also didn't monetize like today's internet sensations and artists with a social media following. It would be years before anybody found out what Cream and Nikki Brown did to get all of that money. They eventually stopped performing as Deuces Wild and put more energy into their hustle. But it all caught up to them in July 2021. Almost 10 years after they released their last song, Cream and Nikki Brown were charged with multiple charges, including aggravated identity theft, false claims, and conspiracy. According to the IRS, the two women were a part of an elaborate tax scheme where they claimed withholdings and refunds of more than $13.6 million between 2013 and 2018. They allegedly used loopholes, created businesses, filed 122 tax returns, and opened at least 29 bank accounts to claim the millions of dollars in refunds. According to the FBI, these returns were all identified as fraudulent because the returns claimed that the IRS had withheld large amounts of income tax from the businesses they formed. The IRS under the impression that the returns were filed and they owed these entities larger refunds for the excess income tax withheld. Cream and Nikki Brown allegedly also filed tax returns in other people's names without their consent. Now, I don't know how the IRS didn't catch this sooner. The women claimed over $13.6 million in refunds, and the IRS ended up depositing over $5.5 million into their bank accounts over 4 or 5 years. It was absolutely ridiculous. The IRS deposited all of this money into these various accounts and never flagged them for anything until somebody close to the women told on them. It was Nikki Brown's best friend who tipped off the feds, telling them that her friend, Nikki Brown, told her that Cream knew how to shrewdly apply for lucrative business loans and offered to help her if she was interested. So now you have Nikki Brown's so-called best friend. They've been friends since 13 years old. She knew that Nikki was up to no good, but instead of saying, "No, I don't want any parts of what you and Cream have going on," she basically participated, then told on them. And why she did that, we'll get into that in a second. But Nikki told the best friend to give her all her information, date of birth, social security number, and Cream will be able to get her a lucrative business loan. Of course, though, you know, a lot of these people, they never have legitimate businesses and no revenue history, but somehow believe that somebody will legitimately give them a business loan when they have no business, no records, no anything. And this is the part that I never understand. When crap hits the fan, they run around and start acting like victims. So you have Nikki Brown's best friend, since 13 years old. She tipped off the feds, claimed that the women put her name into a pot where the winner will get the grant money. This friend supposedly ended up winning, and she received a $51,000 check from the IRS and was instructed to pay $28,000 of it to one of the ladies' businesses. And how many of you want to bet that that's where the problem came in? One, the friend knew she wasn't getting a grant from the IRS. She may not know everything, but she knew enough about the scheme to know that she wanted to benefit from it. Nikki told her, hey, here's how you benefit from it. She told her that she was about to get this check deposited into her account, this money obtained from scamming, and basically she was going to have to share some of it with Cream and Nikki. She's like, you take $23,000 of it and we'll take $28,000. One, they got the bigger cut because it's two of them, and two, they were the ones allegedly behind the whole scheme. But when the money came and Nikki started asking her best friend for their cut, that's where I believe the problem came in. You know, the friend changed up really quick and she was like, I'm not giving you nothing. I'm about to spend all this money first, and then I'm going to call the feds and tell on y'all. And long story short, that's how they started looking into these ladies. In my opinion, Nikki's best friend was allegedly onto what was going on, but didn't want to share the money once she got it. So she flipped on them, called the police, cooperated, cut a deal with them to tell on Nikki Brown and Cream. The two rappers turned scammers, and that's how they ended up being charged. The women went to court in 2021. Nikki Brown didn't play around though. She said that she was guilty. In fact, she'll be sentenced within the next month. But Cream, however, who the feds claim is the mastermind behind it all, went missing for months.
One of the rappers was due in court this week, but no one knows where she is. Fox 2's Randy Wimbley joins us live with more on the runaway rapper. Randy.
Yeah, guys, this woman has been free on bond since 2021, but the court has not heard from her in months. And according to court documents, neither her lawyer nor her mom can get a hold of her. One half of the hip-hop duo Deuces Wild is on the run, ducking the feds in a multi-million-dollar fraud case. According to court documents, Amira Merrill was a no-show for a hearing Tuesday in which she was set to plead guilty to filing phony tax returns. She and her partner in crime, Noel Brown, were charged with stealing more than $5 million from the IRS between 2013 and 2017. They're facing up to a decade in prison. The court says Merrill ghosted pretrial service officers reaching out to her, and that the court has not been in contact with Merrill since this summer. Court officials went to her listed place of business in Oak Park, as well as her home in Bloomfield Township, in search of her, but came up short. We stopped by the Bloomfield property as well. It appeared empty inside, save a lone teapot on the range.
Like I said, I haven't seen her since the beginning of the summer when she was out here with her son. It's unfortunate, and I feel bad for her son. I don't know what's going to happen to him.
A judge revoked Merrill's bond and signed off on a warrant for her arrest Wednesday.
Absconding in a federal pretrial case is never a good idea. First and foremost, you can be charged with additional crimes. You can also face the increase of your guideline range, which will increase your exposure to prison.
Charles Longstreet is a criminal defense lawyer, but does not represent Merrill. He says he's seen this movie before, and that running from the feds hardly ever ends well.
I've seen situations where they've had clients that have run for a year, and eventually the federal agents will catch up with you. It's the United States government, their resources are limited, and eventually they will use those resources and they will find you.
Guys, we reached out to Merrill's lawyer for comment. No response. Her co-defendant and the other half of Deuces Wild has already pleaded guilty. She is set to be sentenced after the new year. Roop, Taryn?
Yeah, it sounds like Merrill had a lot of experience when it came to the IRS. She hasn't been seen or heard from since July, correct? Could she be out of the country? Do they believe
That's right.
possibly that's the case?
Well, that may be unlikely because part of her bond conditions was that she had to surrender her passport in order to remain free on bond. So it's unlikely that she is out of the country, but at the same time, anything is possible in cases like this.
It's true, and especially if you have a lot of money. All right, well, hopefully someone will come forward with some information. Thanks, Randy.
So it's been a couple of months since Cream failed to show up for the last hearing, and she's been on the run, but she couldn't hide much longer. The authorities went all over the place looking for her, from her house. She abandoned it. One of her businesses, she abandoned that one as well. Although another business owner in the same area said that she was never there, the business wasn't actually in operation. The feds ended up finding Cream a couple of days ago in Memphis, Tennessee. She was apprehended and taken into custody. Cream is now in big trouble because not only was her bond revoked, but her attorney filed a motion to be removed from the case. In an unsealed motion, Cream's former defense attorney cites a breakdown between the two and says it cannot be repaired. No word if she's hiring a different lawyer or not, but we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Both women facing up to 10 years in federal prison. I say this all the time, especially to younger women and men. It's a lot of people acting like they have so much money on social media, and most of the time they don't have anything, or they could be involved in some unethical or criminal activities. Lots of instances where some sort of swindling is going on, so you really have to be careful. Don't get taken advantage of or get yourself pulled into any of their situations. And then 2, people really have to stop trying to compete with these fake people on social media, especially during the holidays. All these extravagant gifts, you have no clue what these people did for that. Here's the real lesson of the day. Love yourself, love your family, and the life that you have. Don't get hypnotized by these internet swindlers, literally looking to rob people and the government for a come up. And you better believe it, the government will trap these folks, giving them millions of dollars, not checking anything, and then eventually catching up to them. That goes for the tax scammers, the PPP scammers, SBA swindlers. They can come back and file charges on these folks. Living an average, honest life is better than swindling yourself into a multi-million-dollar lifestyle than being thrown away to the feds, getting all those resources drained back down to zero, going to prison, and then getting out and still having nothing. And then at that point having to rebuild from there. But not from average, we're talking about from way below average. In addition, having a felony criminal record where your road to recovery will be even more difficult. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started below. Nikki Brown, she will be getting sentenced soon. Cream now locked up after running and hiding. And the woman that Nikki Brown kept around as her best friend, she's the one who called the feds on them after getting $51,000 herself, but she allegedly changed her mind about splitting the money. And what do you think about Miss Cream, who said that she was a producer for the City Girls? Shout out to the brothers Edmund, Dark Power, and Judas Lion. I appreciate you all for your support. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.